even I rewatched it back then last year at the occasion of Pride Month for my list, and I deeply loved the film back then, and I guess it's still my favorite. Queer cinema film from last. The technical aspects are really proficient for this film, and this is something which has been inarguably accepted because Robbie Ryan is involved in the cinematography, and the man behind the beautiful monochromatic cinematography of Come On recently,
Hmm.
Michael's film.
Hi Shashwat, welcome back to my podcast, which is called Spoiler
I,
Alert with me, Cinephile Sanket. So Shashwat, in this episode, we are discussing a queer cinema film which is called The Favorite, which is directed and produced by Yorgos Lanthimos and which stars Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz, and Emma Stone. So first of all, Shashwat, when did you watch this film for the first time, and what was your experience like in your first watch? And compared to when you rewatched this film, what was your experience in that rewatch?
yeah, so my experience of watching and rewatching this film have been quite recent. Because when I watched it back in 2020, I did not watch it as a Pride Month film, really, because to be frank, because I watched it in the winter months as a very casual, cinephile experience because I was very new to the medium of serious cinema back then. So I watched it in the winter of 2020 for the first time, and then the circumstances forced me in a way to rewatch it because I was writing for this Facebook group that you also know very well, Movie Geeks. For its blog, had I had tasked myself only for enlisting the best, or not really the best. I mean, the most significant Pride Month films from the last decade. And I thought that since there is a very deeply sexual undercurrent to the film itself, so I decided to rewatch it, and surprisingly, I connected with it a lot more. Which is very much similar to the this conversation we are having right now, right? Because we are having it as a part of the Pride Month, and even I rewatched it back then last year at the occasion of Pride Month for my list, and I deeply loved the film back then, and I guess it's still my favorite, uh, you know, uh, queer cinema film from last. Not really queer cinema. Let's be very, let's be inclusive and LGBTQ film from last decade. It's my favorite, following Lawrence Anyways, which is for another discussion.
Sure, then yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's a Xavier Dolan film. Okay, yeah, that's another discussion. Like, I also just have watched Mommy Office, so let's keep it that way. So yeah, actually, I watched this film like back in 2018 because like the this film was the buzz of the town, talk of the town when because it was nominated for the Oscars. It won an Oscar, but like it couldn't secure the technical aspects, like sorry, the technical awards because uh, like I think Black Panther was also nominated for the same year, and even Roma was also nominated. So like all those Roma and Black Panther had like was actually dominated the technical award. So
It
this.
was, yeah, 2018 was a very diverse year for cinema. Cinema, not cinema specifically, Oscars, because it was the first time superhero film was nominated, and even the favorite nomination came as a surprise because of the sex and the swearing involved, and because mainly because Academy usually keeps it at an arm's length, these things, this kind of
You were
fearlessness.
right on Weisz.
And but apparently, yeah, it was also disappointing in many other ways
Would you like
because
a bite of my new made
we all know
ravioli?
that Green Book won the Best Picture.
Absolutely, yeah. I still remember that. Like, I was shocked that I had like Roma didn't win because like it was the favorite. Okay, yeah, yeah. But it was the fan favorite and like the public favorite also to win this the best picture. But like this film couldn't win. But yeah, talking about the favorite, I loved every aspect of this film, bro. Like all those set design, the production design, the sets, the costumes, like from the all those things to the cinematography. Because the specifically cinematography, because those fish islands, I couldn't just forget about all those things. The like it actually kind of created a unique moment, a unique thing for me. Like when I watched that film. Obviously, since watching this film, I like previously watched Dogtooth and The Killing of the Sacred Deer. Uh, this film is like a much more commercial film for director Yorgos Lanthimos, which is like a brilliant guy from Greece who has made a brilliant film in like who has made brilliant films in Greece, and now he's making like a mark in Hollywood. So this was a more commercial film, but still like it has a good commercial angle as well. Like and uh, like I like people actually were saying that this is a very commercial film, but like I didn't think it's more of a commercial film because like people think that
Yes,
exactly, like people think that okay, epic film, sorry, the period film should be epic and all those stuff of war should happen. Like in this film there aren't anything much, and there isn't anything much happening outside of the kingdom. Like it's just everything is happening in the palace itself. That's the beauty about this film. Like, I think it's a small good film made by a great director. So I actually loved this film. And like just now, I just to record this podcast, I rewatched this film, and I was like thinking, wow, man, like all those lightings and like just every 10 to 15, like sorry, not 15, but like every 5 to 10 minutes, I was just pausing. I was taking some screenshot of this, and I'll just be posting the screenshot in some days as well on my Instagram account. But like those frames, those colors, I just fell in love with it. Like I don't have much words to talk about that the lightings of the film, because I think they might have shot entirely on a like a natural lighting, and which many of the filmmakers actually do when they make those period dramas as well. But let's not forget that this isn't a much period drama, sorry, a big budget period drama. It's just a low budget period drama. That's the beauty about this film as well. But coming to you, Shashwat, how did you like all those technical aspects of this film?
yeah. Technically speaking, as you have already iterated beautifully, the technical aspects are really proficient for this film, and this is something which has been inarguably accepted because Robbie Ryan is involved in the cinematography, and the man behind the beautiful monochromatic cinematography of Come On, recently, Mike
Hmm.
Mill's film, and yeah, and the use of those wide angle lenses and fish-eye lenses, they really capture the microcosm of the 17th century England and Ireland, and there is a certain stone coldness to it. I mean, we usually associate the period dramas of that time or that place or the aesthetics of it with very warm colors and very warm textures, very warm aesthetics. But the details and textures here were very cooled, and like you said, the use of natural light was really efficient, and
Oh,
really
yes,
dim.
we
The dim lit frames were did everything for it. And the best part of the film is that it does not. It proves yet again. Before this, Yorgos Lanthimos, obviously he made the dating satire, The Lobster, and the killing of the sacred deer. But he yet again proves, and this time he proves very effectively. Effectively is my operative word here because I cannot think of a better word right now. For proving that, you know, actually the proving the word proving I have used here because many masters from world cinema, we have all seen that many masters from world cinema have stepped into English cinema and stumbled uh, the, into adapting it into the milieu of the, you know, from it's a sudden shift, of course, and we should normalize this stumbling. Not everyone is Yorgos Lanthimos, but the weirdness and the absurdity and the, you know, abstraction of his material back from Greece, be it in Dogtooth, be it in Alls, that really translates well into you know, the cinema he makes here, which is what works in his favor in the favorite. And the costumes by Sarah Powell, they are not like, they are really not like what we are used to seeing in you know, they are heavy, and there is a very inherent self-awareness in the narrative about the costumes and the way women are conscripted in these corsets and these gowns, and because it asserts feminine authority, this film, uh, which make the, so the technical qualities make it stand out. Yeah.
Hmm. But uh, since you mentioned that like there are some great technical aspects of the films, and you also mentioned the lobster and the killing of a sacred deer as well. Can you like just also talk about the ending of this film as well? Like how did the ending play out to you? Because uh, frankly speaking, I didn't know what just happened in the ending. Like it was a three shots just combined in it. I didn't knew like what like was there a deeper meaning to it? Was there some symbolism in it? I actually quite don't know about it. Like, can you all elaborate on that as well?
Yeah. The climax of the film basically shows decadence of power. I mean, it basically shows Queen Anne fading from the picture.
Hmm.
Because you know, of course, Abigail is now in complete power. She has the authority. She is in complete neglect of Anne now that she has this, you know, this regime of Anne's bedchamber. So it shows a very sickening aspect of, you know, the sickening relationship between love and power, that this you know, this absurdity of relationship between love and power, I can say. There are many adjectives to describe the relationship between love and power, uh, which has been depicted in the film, and the way Greek, the way Yorgos Lanthimos uses the knowledge that he extracted from his Greek weird wave, and which is what very crucially makes the favorite his funniest film from all that he has made. Um, that is what stands out about the climax for the person.
Hmm. Okay, but
Yeah,
actually,
put down the full side.
sorry.
Because after all the chaos involved in the film's proceedings, I
Hmm.
think the climax is relatively toned down.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. But to be like, I just got a point to say here. Like, uh, when I rewatched this film, like, I think I got to know that, oh, Rachel Weisz's character, she was with the queen, from like her childhood, and this girl which like just comes and takes the opportunity, who like actually she is an underdog. She rises to the she rises actually to all the like obstacles, and like obviously her main obstacle, her cousin as well. So like this is a pure a story, main cliche story, I would say, about a person like who if we say it in Hindi as well, like क्या बोलते हैं, that ये चढ़ power जो आता है वो like दिमाग में चढ़ जाता है. So that's the thing, like it happened, like power got into her mind. So and not many people can actually survive, or not many people can actually like handle that power very very smartly. So your Emma Stone's character, I think, didn't handle well power very smartly compared to Rachel Weisz's character. She actually grew up watching the Queen, and she actually grew up what she does and what she doesn't do, and like all those stuff. So that the main reason she was smart enough to just play her cards very rightly, or like Rachel Weisz's character, and she was smart, but at the end she didn't survive, and that's the that's the thing, I think. So I just got
That's
to
the
know.
point. Yeah.
Absolutely. But Shashwat, I wanted to ask you, since Olivia Colman won the Best Actress Oscar, what did you think about her performance, and even the performance of other supporting characters, casts as well?
Yeah. So basically, if we are talking about the favorite, we are talking about not first and foremost, because Yorgos Lanthimos is like the host that presides over the proceedings of the film. His Greek beard wave uh, informs the film in many strange ways. So Yorgos Lanthimos is the primary discussion of uh, the favorite.
Mm,
But yeah, about the performances, I mean, because I mean, it would have been nice even if the film followed, this conventional rule of a period drama. I mean, mainly because it is always a joy to see Olivia Colman, performers like Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz, and Emma Stone, when they are clad in those 17th and 18th century costumes, and doing their thing. I mean, that kind of a conventional period drama, if Lanthimos made it, it would have been nice. I mean, I would not have any issues with that. I would have liked it that way also. But however, the film is, so fearlessly crazy, and it doesn't even try to, uh, become a revisionist fable. Like by revisionist fable, I mean the kind of thing that Greta did with Little Women.
mm,
Revising the context of the the original text and translating it to make it relevant to the modern discourse on feminism. What Greta did. Lanthimos doesn't even, attempt that. It's it almost looks like a contemporary setting, and the drama is playing out in front of our eyes, in front of a stage which is a very broad stage, and it looks like a goddamn farce. I mean, it has a very dry, unsparing, and hilarious sense of humor, frankly, which is helped by the casting, of course, the casting, of course, these are groups, these three people involved as leading ladies, the three leading ladies.
mm,
Uh, so the casting is there, of course, but it also feels as if the film is a very intelligent riff of sorts on English cinema's obsession with period dramas of that kind. I mean, almost as if they are like uh, Lanthimos and his team are like just mimicking them, the way they play out, very safe bets they play out, very sanitized period dramas about royal authority and the way elites function. They are mimicking them all in a grand fashion, and then in the end, just like just like the way Anne behaves with Abigail, they are just grabbing English cinema's this obsession by its hair. That is the the mad ride that the favorite is. Also, if you remember, I am sure you remember that this film was one of the earliest at the time when the Me Too movement discourse was being revived. Because into 2017 it was, of course, the behind the revival was Alyssa Milano. Uh, so when she encouraged the hashtag Me Too, which that also I think works in favor of the favorite. In what ways? Because it gives its gender politics. A very, of course, we are not discussing the politics here, but it gives a very fresh feminist perspective to it. I mean, if you choose to look at that way, because that thing in that reading of it enhanced my viewing experience in more ways than one. Because if you choose to look at that way, you will find the film's, sexual power dynamic and triangle between, Queen Anne, Sarah Churchill, and Abigail Masham, those three protagonists. I mean, they are truly representative of complete feminine authority, ruling one of the biggest monarchies of the world even at that time. I mean, this power play was going on, and uh, you know, and the men were looking like fucking jokers, man. The men were looking like fucking clowns. I mean, yes, that's the dress up convention of that time, but that doesn't negate, the fact that the makeup was purposefully overdone so that they looked like, fucking clowns.
I felt that I felt the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, the men are a bunch of idiots. I mean, of course, the ministers, this, let, despite all the cliche outlooks that the film has been receiving, and all these other things, let us not forget that this is in fact a true story. Queen Anne and this triangle between Queen Anne, Sarah, and Abigail, it's so fascinatingly ahead of its time, but almost as if it's a fiction. But it's the fact that enhances this, and in a very gripping fashion, is that it's a true story, and the spell of humor that Lanthimos injects to it, more than Lanthimos, the script by Deborah Davis and Tony McNamara. Tony McNamara basically enhanced the script, and the first draft of it was written in 1998, I think, by Deborah. Yeah, and after all these years, she polished it, which was basically supposed to be her debut script. Uh, so all these years she polished it, and thus we have the favorite in front of you, which has these Lanthimos touches, these Tony McNamara touches, and Tony McNamara will also go on and direct Cruella, which is of course a lesser film. It is a Disney live action offering, so of course, but uh, it has that, uh, what can you say, the weirdness to it, and there is a lot of, if you have you seen Cruella?
No, I haven't
Uh,
seen it.
it is not essential viewing. It's basically a villain origin story that has been commissioned by Disney, but it has that, it injects that very unexpected weirdness to it. Tony McNamara is one of the writers, and he does that, and there is a lot of the favorite hangover in there. Yeah, so I'd not recommend it very clearly because it's only a very decent film, but uh, yeah, it makes a very strange and very weird kind of double viewing with the favorite. I mean, of course there are better films, but since the script writer is the same,
Hmm.
mentioned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But final question I wanted to ask you. So since this is a Pride month, and I'm asking my other guests as well, what are your favorite queer cinema films as well? Like, just can you mention this in like here as well, since you also wrote a Lindy like a Lindy listicle as well. But like, just can you mention some like, let's just say other 4 or 5 films over here.
yeah. Of course, this I can this I am very confident to recommend, because the first one, of course, accept the favorite. The first one, of course, would be Lawrence Anyways by Xavier Dolan, and given that he was only in his 20s and he fashioned this 3 hour plus epic on sexuality and love. It's a very beautiful film. I think it's the greatest thing to come out of the wave of queer cinema in the last decade. And I'm primarily mentioning these last decade films for a reason. You'll know because of the listicle, of course. And Joachim Trier, who made The Worst Person in the World last year, he made Thelma, which is a psycho thriller, but with a very gripping, sense of sexuality to it. And of course, Weekend by Andrew Hyde. Also be a very great film to watch. Moonlight, of course. These are very conventional names. A Fantastic Women by Sebastian Lelio would be one. And there is one film, We Are the Thousands, I think its name is. I'm not really remembering its name, but it's a very beautiful film about a boy's sexual awakening in a very, the first baby steps of, uh, it's a very delicate coming of age film. We Are the Thousands, its name is. I don't remember it, but yeah, it was a very, its visuals are so uniquely, they have such a unique and surreal energy to them. Those that film itself has such a very, it, it's a fucking magical film, man. I mean, yeah, I'd recommend that and A Fantastic Women by Sebastian Lelio, Lawrence Anyways, and God's Country, and yeah, that would be all.
Yeah, exactly. But Shashwat, thank you so very much for coming to my podcast. It's like a real honor, real pleasure to having a film critic on my podcast, bro. Like, I think you are one of those person like who
We
will
are
just
so,
be
the thing
ready.
is, yeah, the thing is, we are helping each other grow. I mean, I do write for films, I agree, but that that stems more from the fact that we are all trying to be visible in our love for cinema. So we are basically doing the same thing. We are, yeah, and of course, and before we end it here, I'd like to, you know, mention one more aspect, the less talked about aspect of the favorite, which I really love, is the fact that there are moving parts also in the film, very piercing, very heartbreaking parts. For example, the whole existential crisis, existential angst that Queen Anne is facing. I mean, who has only faced very terrible misery all her life, and of course, relating to her disease, her obesity, and her loneliness, of course, and of course the irritation, which were actually usual byproducts of the terrible past she had. I mean, her depression, for example, stems from the fact that she toiled endlessly to provide just one child to the monarch, and 17 of her boys died. uh, that cruelty, that emotional vulnerability that she has is, is something that has been dragged for humor, which is of course very obvious because you know uh, for the fact that this is very much a very this is very much a black comedy. For that, of course, but uh, this point has been driven very much by the charismatic humor of the film. That this is, this is how dryly treated the depressed and existentially unhappy people of the world are treated this way. And this happens in today's world also. We are
Hmm.
not very fair people in power who have their own set of problems. So that is one thing which stood out for me. Apart from the usual banter between Sarah and her cousin, and the way they are both trying to get into the throes of attention of Queen Anne.
But
So yeah, that is what.
such a great point you just made. Like, I didn't knew about this just when, like, before when you
There's
spoke
dialogue
about it.
is important.
But yeah, thank like uh, uh, like such a brilliant point you just made about this film as well. But Shashwat, thank you so very much for just coming and like just chatting about this film, just great film, I would say over here. Thank you so much, and I hope I'll see you in another video as well. Like if and when you just get available, like
Yeah, of course.
thank you so much,
Thank you.
and good night. Yeah.
Good night.